Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another weekly market update. I have some fun stuff for you today, but it's been a crazy week, and we don't know exactly what the Fed's going to do. They're going to be doing something next week. They got a 0.3% producer price increase this week, which, maybe bad news or good news or whatever. The market didn't like it at the beginning of the day. Now it's liking it. And, who knows what they're going to do, but they're probably going to raise 50 basis points next week, and that's already priced into the market. So I think we are looking at nearing the end of a bear market. You heard it here. I called it when last November it was. I said we're in for a bear market that usually lasts 12 to 18 months. We're past 12. We're like in the 13 month now. We might be getting to the end of this thing. And I know there's tons of bad news and recession's coming and the real estate market's crashing and crypto's going out of business and gold is going to crash, or, like currencies in the world are going to crash. But you know what? Sometimes you can't listen to that stuff because the market's been hearing it for a year and has already priced it in. And if you remember back in March of 2020, we had just been through a month of, oh my God, terrible news. We're going to be shutting down the economy. Millions of people are going to die. Horrible news, bad, bad, bad. And then we hit a market low and we just rallied, and we rallied for like a year and a half. And so you just never know when the bottom is going to be in. And I have a feeling after all this malaise that we've had for the last year, it's hard to see because we're going to need a Fed money press to print their way out of this thing. And I think they're going to have to do it. I've been saying that for a while, and I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but I feel like it's coming. I don't know. But let me show you what we're looking at this week, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Okay. Let's see here. Hopefully you can see that. Let's just go through we just came off a great call with our mastermind group in the cash flow machine. And, right now we're looking at a market that's gone yellow, right? But it looks like it's not going to stay yellow. It'll probably go back to green. There's a good chance because it's been a very weak sell-off this week. So we have to kind of see what the Fed does next week. But right now it's yellow. The NASDAQ composite's above the 50-day. And in fact, it bounced. If you look at the third candle from the right there, it bounced right off the 50-day moving average, very healthy. And now it's kind of hovering above it, even on a lousy day like today, supposedly. You could see that the S&P 500 went last week, like I talked about, and it tested the S&P 500 200-day moving average. It rejected that, but it didn't do it on very big volume. So I have a feeling it's going to go after it again. And then if it goes after it again, it can stay above that. We're looking at a 43.25 handle at the S&P 500. If you can see that other little kind of medium hump in the middle of the candle, just under the 200-day moving average, kind of in the middle of the chart, that's where it wants to go. That's a big swing point that it's kind of going to be a magnet. So as soon as it hovers around here, if it does what I think it's going to do, and we start to get the red line moving up and the black line moving up and things starting to move up, we're going to get an uptrend. And I know it doesn't feel like it, but we're going to get one. And these come out of nowhere. And you're like, 6 months later, you're like, how come I didn't see it? Well, I'm telling you about it. So hopefully you'll see it, take advantage of it. And you know what? Just, you don't have to put all your money in. Just start to realize that maybe there's something going on in the market. Look at this golden cross that's about to happen. It's the red line moving through the black line. That's the 50-day moving through the 200. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average has been leading for about a month and a half, 2 months now. And so you look at that chart. That's a significant up move, lower left to upper right. And that looks pretty good. And the Dow has been leading the other indexes, and it's kind of pulling them up. Now, will it stay here? I don't know. Sure looks pretty strong to me. Not on a huge amount of volume, so there's not a lot of conviction in the market, so anything can happen. But I like it up here, trying to stay up here, and people are holding it up, even though it's the low volume people. They're holding it there. The New York looks very similar to the Dow. New York is a pretty broad market index. And so it's bounced exactly off the 200-day moving average 4 or 5 days ago. And it's holding that average. And you can see that red line heading for that 200-day moving average, that black line. When it goes across it, it's called the golden cross. It's very bullish because everybody in the market starts to think, let's get back in. And that's a really good indicator. So start watching, because I'm telling you, you don't know when these things are gonna happen. This is the volatility index. I talk about the VIX about every week, and it's kind of down near really low lows. And this is an inverse indicator. So when the VIX is down, that generally means the market wants to kind of go up. You can see the market really didn't do a lot of selling off this week. And so it's kind of trying to bounce. So that's interesting. And you can look at the New York Stock Exchange advances and declines, new highs, new lows, and you can see they're all kind of in the middle. Everything reverted to the mean. And so now things may go the other way. I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of new lows. I think the market's already priced that in. One stock you may be trading, and I want to talk about it, is Apple. You can see Apple is in a very long 40-week consolidation. It's just been bouncing between 130 and 180, and it's just kind of trying to find its legs. It's almost exactly in the middle of that range. And so it's trading, today around 145. And Apple, I don't believe Apple's going anywhere. And it's a perfect cash flow machine stock where you buy the stock as your asset, your base position, we call it, and then you sell calls to other people to rent your stock out, and you create income from it. And Apple has been a perfect cash flow machine stock. And we teach people all how to do that in our mastermind group and our courses about how you can just create rent off these stocks. And Apple is one of the favorite ones in the group. It's been a little wild lately, but it's been acting pretty well overall. On Semiconductor is another good one, but I want to jump to this other one here, Tesla. Now, Tesla has been my biggest holding, and I'm as convinced as ever that Tesla's going higher. Now, this isn't financial advice. None of this stuff is. This is entertainment, opinion, information, whatever. But I'll just tell you, I saw a fully self-driving thing where the guy didn't touch the wheel, and this Tesla car drove itself around San Francisco, took lefts into the proper lane, stopped at red lights, took right turns. People pulled out in front of them, and the car stopped, and then it let them go, and then it went around them. It was just absolutely amazing. It was like a human was driving the car, but actually probably better because it was a little safer. It gave a little bit more room between the car in front of it and things like that. It was fantastic. They also came out with their semi truck last week. It's an electric semi truck that goes 500 miles on a charge. Now, if you think about that, it's about 7 hours of driving, and it charges 70% in an hour and a half. So they're doing some stuff that's interesting. Now, is it factored into the stock? I think the stock is still getting gyrated by all the Tesla stuff, that's the Twitter stuff that's gone on, over the last 5 weeks. I think that seems to be over. We had a big move down, about a 10% move down in Tesla this week, but we had a big rebound today. And so the stock is still down 7% for the week roughly, but it's, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't predict the markets. I just try to read the charts and try to give probabilities. But to me, I want to show you this really interesting chart that I showed the people today. And if you look at what Tesla did from May to July of 2022, it went from this little red arrow, right? And it bounced all the way down, and then it came back up. And I'll show you what it did after that green arrow. It went way up after that green arrow. So it went way down at the red arrow and way up after the green arrow. Same thing here. It went way down after the red arrow in September of this year. And now what's going to happen? Let me show you what the parallels are. I'm kind of a geek when it comes to this stuff, so I really like when I find these things. But it bounced up and it hit that red line on the left chart, and it bounced up and hit the red line on the right chart. And then 1B, it went all the way down and it found a low, and you can see the two lows are very similar, although the one on the left is a little bit deeper, it looks like, right? So you can see those 1Bs, and then it bounced above the red line again. That's 1C on both charts. Then went back down, and it went to a low again, created its own new low. That's 1D. When it bounced back up, it went above that red line again on both charts, right? The one on the left, the one on the right. These are totally different time periods, but they're acting very similar. Does it mean anything? Who knows? Past performance does not equal future gain, right? But even though history doesn't repeat itself, it does rhyme. But there's this like almost the same verse here. It's very similar and uncanny, at least I think so. And then you can see when it went to that new low, it's kind of a shallower low, and then we had that green arrow, and I'll show you what happened in the next slide after we got that green arrow. So are we setting up for the same thing in Tesla right now here at the end of December of 2022? Gosh, I don't know. If there's all these similarities on the chart on the left with the chart on the right, maybe we're setting up for something interesting. Who knows? But here's what happened. After we got that low, that red line in July 7th, I think on July 8th, we started a big run, and it went up about 45%. after it bounced and we got that green arrow that I showed you on the chart there on the left side chart. You see that? If you look at that green arrow, that's where it was on July 7th. And then from July 7th, it went from 216 or whatever, 220, something like that, to 314. That's a significant run up, So I'm not saying it's going to do it again. It may not. We might have a crappy market. It may go down, and who knows. But if things are similar, if things rhyme, then we could have a bounce. And it's been down for a while, so it sure feels like it wants to do a reversion to the mean here. So anyway, I find that interesting. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you had a great week, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend coming up. If you get an opportunity to tell somebody you love them, or reach out, call somebody you haven't talked to in a while, or give somebody a hug that you love, it would probably sure make their day, and it will probably make you feel a lot better too. So why don't you take that as your homework until next week, and then hopefully you have a phenomenal weekend, and I wish you the best of luck, and I hope to see you next time on the next weekly update. Take care now. Bye.